Hey guys, Casket Covers, aka Thrash Chad, back here again, talking about a very controversial topic within the metal scene, and I feel like it's something that needs to be addressed, and something that I feel like nobody really talks about, and is afraid to talk about it because it's such a hot and controversial topic that nobody really wants to tackle it and really go into depth about this situation, about this topic in particular. And the topic I'm talking about is how to make money playing metal. And I know what you're probably going to say, oh, making money in the metal scene isn't really attainable, it's not practical, nobody wants to listen to that shit. And I feel like, people kind of underestimate, the power of the heavy metal music. I really do believe that metal bands, even if you're a mid-tier band, I believe that you guys can make music, and I honestly don't think that there's anything wrong with a band trying to make a living at selling their product. At the end of the day, it is a job, and if you're gonna make it a living, you have to treat your band as your brand. You have to treat it as a business. And if you're not going to treat your band as a business, then you're not going to go anywhere. I think a lot of the thing is, a lot of people, kind of shy away from, the whole money thing. And I don't believe you have to sell out or do like Metallica or anything to even make like, good money. I believe you can make money if you put in the right steps and actually sell your stuff rather than just putting it out for free. That's the biggest problem with metal bands, is that nowadays, from what I notice, they're so eager to put out their music, and they just put it out. They're just like, all right, here you go, it's for free. Well, from a business standpoint, that's not really a good idea, because imagine if I work at a pizza place, right? I own a pizza joint. And I decide, well, I want somebody to know how good my pizza is. And the thing is that if I make a pizza and I give it away for free, and they're like, oh man, that's amazing, and free pizza tastes better than, say $10 pizza. But that's the thing, is that, people aren't going to just out of gratuity just give you money after they try it. And I think that's the thing about bands, is that they're not willing to charge people for the music. I think bands should charge people for the music. Do I think that they should charge them overpriced? Do I think they should make it expensive? No, make it affordable. Make it like $10 a CD or something like that. Like your music is your product, not your T-shirts or anything like that. Like Bumblefoot said something like that, like, oh, we're just traveling T-shirt salesmen. I'm like, no, you're a product. You're a show. You're an entity. Well, maybe not a product, but you're more than just T-shirt salesman. You're a whole entity. You're a cultural force, and you need to treat your band as such. When you do that and you sell yourself short, which I feel like a lot of metal bands do. That's why they're in the situations that they're in, because they sell themselves short. They don't really believe that they can make money. They don't believe that they can make a living from this because either the stigma of trying to make money within the metal scene, it's controversial, it's seen as selling out, it's seen as not genuine, or there's that mindset of like, well, it's not attainable. But the thing is like, see, Morbid Angel, all right, to me, this is like a mom and pop shop of a metal band. This is like kind of like when you go down to like the street and you go to a restaurant and sit down. It's a local chain restaurant or whatever, or it's a local restaurant, and that's what it is. Like, and they make money. Like people that work at those little small businesses, they make money off of doing that, and they're not like fucking raking it in like say Metallica or something like that, or a huge fast food chain. They still can make money, and that's what Morbid Angel is, and all these mid-level bands are. And I believe a lot of these bands, like Morbid Angel, can make some pretty good money if they would actually sell their product and sell their music. I believe that metal bands should sell their music, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with metal bands trying to make a living. And I think anybody that objects to that, well, I mean, if you don't want, to, for one, make a living out of your dreams, because for a lot of metalheads, playing music is their dream, and playing music is something that they want to do, well, you should get fucking paid for it. You put your hard work into it, you put your fucking blood, sweat, tears, you put every single amount of energy into your music, and you think that you shouldn't get compensated for that? I think that's ridiculous. I've been playing guitar for at least 12 years at this point. I've studied and researched every single band that I love and studied how they got famous and how they got popular, and all the things that they did, they treated their band as a business. I mean, there's a reason why Lars Ulrich stayed in Metallica. I mean, honestly, he knew that his band was a business. Now, do I think you should sell out? Do I think you should get rid of your musical integrity? No, you should not do that. That's just completely wrong. Like, don't betray your fan base, because honestly, having a loyal fan base is more important than chasing what's popular right now. Like, I would much rather have a loyal set of customers that will buy my stuff rather than, chasing trends and then, kind of going through the motions. Like, if you notice, like, Machine Head was kind of that band. Machine Head would go through the motions and they would change genres depending on what was popular. So, that's why, whenever they put Burn My Eyes, it was pretty much a Pantera clone. And then whenever they went through their nu metal phase, like, they were trying to capitalize on nu metal and, like, the whole Korn and Limp Bizkit craze and all that stuff. And what you realize is that they have a very inconsistent discography. And so you have people kind of being like, oh, well, I like the Burning Red, or I like Burn My Eyes, or I like the Blackening, or something like that. There's not like a whole subset of people be like, oh man, all their albums are great, which is what Metallica did. I mean, you can pretty much safely say that the first 4 or 5 albums, depending on if you like the Black Album, are pretty much legendary albums. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this album is 6 times platinum. This album is 2 times platinum. And also, that's another thing too. When it comes to, the albums and stuff like that, bands never just, put out their fucking albums and just be like, hey, here you go, there's my album. No, what they used to do was put out singles. And singles were important, because they were basically a promotion of your album. It was like, oh, okay, I'm going to put out this song, and when I put out this song, I'm going to, everyone's going to, it's the strongest song of the album. That's why they're the singles, because they're the most recognizable, they're the catchiest, and all of that stuff. That's why, Walk is probably their most popular song, and I'm pretty sure when people heard Walk, a lot of people bought this fucking record, and it shows, because they fucking did. 2 times platinum. 6 times platinum. And that was just due to word of mouth and all that stuff. They let their product sell. And that is what is important. So I think a lot of metalheads should really try to reconsider, if you want to make a living, you really need to really sell your music. And if you get mad at this video and all that stuff, you can say, oh, well, music's not a product and all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. Well, then don't complain about how, oh, I want to play metal music, but it's hard to make a living. It's hard to make a living in music. It's hard to make a living. It's ridiculous. I mean, like, come on. You're going to complain about how you want to do this for a living, but then you're complaining about you can't make money, but you're giving your shit away for free? I honestly think a lot of bands need to kind of sit back and kind of take in the information I just said and be like, But also it is an art form. And music to me is an art form as well. And I do believe that, you should have some musical integrity and not try to, you know, fuck over your fan base and piss off your fan base for, becoming more popular and stuff like that. Now, when you try to go mainstream, like kind of like Metallica did, that was more a betrayal. Because I believe Metallica would have been making the money that they would have been throughout all these years, despite if they even played thrash for the remainder of their fucking career. If they didn't have the whole load, reload, Saint Anger phase, Metallica would have been very fucking popular, despite all that. I mean, their songwriting on their first 4 to 5 albums was that strong. And really, if you look at the Black Album, which is like 20 times platinum, you will realize that album was the culmination of kind of adding in a lot more of accessible music, but it was still heavy. It's still a heavy fucking record. And honestly, I think that's one of the best things that they could ever did. So, I don't know. We're going to have this discussion. If you want to watch this video and kind of give me your thoughts on whether metal should start selling their music or it should just stay the way it is. But, really, what do you think? Well, leave a comment down below, let me know what you think. Let's maybe get a dialogue going about all of this stuff, and let's really talk about this, because I think it's a topic that is worthy of being talked about, and is something that needs to be talked about within the metal scene. And I'm tired of seeing, metalheads talk about how poor they are and how they can't make a living, because I want the metal scene to thrive. And I think that if there's a little bit more frugality within their business tactics and treating their band as a brand, I do believe that the metal scene can succeed a little bit more than it has done. People talk about the metal scene dying. Well, if there was a little bit more of salesmanship and everything that goes into it, then I really do think that the metal scene could thrive, but in a way that doesn't compromise the integrity of the scene, but also helps the scene thrive. I really do believe that. So this has been a pretty important discussion in my head, and I'll want to have a dialogue on this. So if you watch this video, let me know what you think, and let me know how you feel. So I'm Cass Covers, aka Thrash Dad, and I'm out.